crane finally.
Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be getting rid of the ABS on the silver car. So basically we're going to be getting rid of the pump and all the lines that come up around here. That little junction block, we're going to be getting rid of that and replacing it with a 40/40 portion valve. Most of the other ABS stuff is out the car. The video where I installed the ASR subframe brace, I took out the sensors in the rear. About 2 videos ago, when I thinned out the wiring in the interior harness, I removed the ABS computer and all the wires that go from the computer up into the ECU area. So I'm going to get started on this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the battery out, this intake arm and the strut bar. That way I have a little bit of room to get down in here. I'm going to try to suck some of the brake fluid out of the master cylinder with this little siphoning device. So once the master cylinder is empty of the fluid, we're still going to have fluid in the lines. I came over here and I disconnected these connectors. Mine only had this big one and this one hooked up, and these were already hanging here. I'm not sure exactly if someone messed with this before or not, but on my 2000 Integra there's a little fuse box right here, so mine didn't have that. If yours has that, you just need to disconnect these from it, and I think there's a power wire going to the battery that you would have to remove. So once this is done, you want to have to start removing some of these lines, but none of them are going to be reused. You're supposed to use a flare nut wrench like this to start undoing the lines. But since I'm not planning on trying to sell this or save any of these lines, I'm going to take a Dremel tool with a cut wheel. I'm just going to cut through all these lines right here or right here, and then remove this here. The ABS pump is pulled out. It actually weighed a bit more than I thought it would. I also pulled out the battery tray just to make everything a little bit more accessible. So I cut all my lines right here. The Dremel tool really wasn't cutting it because of the small diameter blade, but the grinder made easy work of that. So if you look down at the lines, over in this area here, you'll see this one that goes into the wheel well. If you follow that back, that's this one here. So I'm just going to not mess with that one. If you look down, you'll see another plastic connector straight down here. It has a 10mm bolt on it right down there. We're going to take that off. I'm going to take off this charcoal canister. I'm probably just going to delete that today while I'm at it. But that just has one 10 or 12mm bolt right here, and we're just going to keep following up these off-white lines. They have some clips right here. It looks like we're going to have to take off the fuel filter to get behind that, so we'll get started on that. Alright, so once you get the fuel filter loose, you'll have this clip right here that's just kind of pressed onto this welded screw coming out the firewall. Behind the fuel filter bracket, you'll have to pull that off of the stud, and you'll have one 10mm bolt holding this bracket on here. So next I'm going to take the flare nut wrench and loosen up the 4 connections on this, not exactly sure what you would call that, but that's where the proportion valve is going to go. So don't mess up the ones on this side closest to the brake master cylinder, because these are the rear brake lines. We're not doing anything with those except for loosening them up and tighten them back up again. So we're going to get those 4 off, and then we'll continue from there. Alright, so the valve's out the car. There's 3 10mm bolts holding it on these 3 studs. 1, 2, 3. Easy enough to come off. So right underneath of that valve, you'll have this plastic connector. The very back line goes to the clutch master cylinder, so you're going to have to take off this little plastic piece to separate the lines, because you don't want to start pulling on the clutch line unless you plan on changing that today also, which would be the best time. Then we're going to follow this up a little bit more. Then you have this plastic clip right here on the wall. You want to remove this, and then just follow it around. Take off the 2 fittings on the master cylinder, here and here. And then once that's done, you'll see a line down here, this one, that goes into this wheel well. I might just cut that and then pull all these lines out, and then go and jack up the car and take off the wheels and take off the other side, like I did for this side over here on the passenger. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you where I'm at once I pick it up. Alright, so I got that clip out that I was telling you about. Undid the fittings on the master cylinder, and there's one clip down in here that's holding on the brake line that goes into the fender well. Underneath here, I just cut this one and I pushed it through with my finger. So right now I'm going to try to pull out the whole brake line assembly. It took a couple minutes to try to wipe down some of the dirt that's been built up over the years. I had broken axles and stuff like that. So what I'm going to be using to convert the brakes is 40-40 proportion valve. You'll be able to see 40-40 written right in this area to make sure you have the right one. I've got 2 cushion clamps. I'll show you what I'm going to use these for a little bit later. And I ordered the ABS delete kit from Valex Racing. You can order these on eBay or on their website. I found it was cheaper on their website. Has directions printed right on each bag so you don't mix the lines up. So we're going to get to installing these. I installed the proportion valve. I'll tighten the 2 back lines on, and I took the 4 fittings from the kit and just hand tighten these on here so I can these are 14, so I'm just going to use a socket to snug them down. So right now we're going to install the 2 lines that go to the brake master cylinder. Proportion valve lines are installed. This one kind of U-turns down this way, comes straight up here and into the top right here. It's not super snug even though it looks like it has play. The back one is down here, and it kind of snakes behind the brake lines and comes up right here, and that one has play too. So right now I'm going to work on doing the driver's side wheel well. Driver's side line is in. I'll also remove the ABS sensor. It came through here. 2 bolts here, bolt here, bolt down here, and bolt here and here. And this is what the sensor look like. And on the inside of the firewall you have this orange plug. Just unclip this, and then the sensor's useless. That's the piece of the line that I cut. So from this, it runs through here. It's kind of hard to see, but right down there, I'll put that cushion clamp with a 12mm bolt to hold the line. So the line runs right above where the steering rack goes into the car, comes around, comes down to the back corner. I had to loosen up the top one to make room for the wrench. So that one's done. Now I'm gonna jack up the passenger side of the car and start on that one. I have the passenger side all tightened up. Remove the ABS sensor just like on the other side. 2 bolts here, 1 up here, 1 here, and then 2 down here. Inside the engine bay, there's an orange clip right here, and that's what the sensor's hooked into. So the line comes out. I put another cushion clamp. The reason that I went with such a big cushion clamp is because a 12mm bolt wouldn't fit through the smaller ones, and that's the only holes available right here. I didn't want to tap a new hole, or riv nut a new hole in here, because on the side with the ABS it would have been hard to get the riv nut gun in there. So the line comes around here. I'm using a factory clip to hold the line up, and it just comes up to here. So there are a few different ABS deletes on YouTube, and most of them have a part 1 and a part 2. This whole process took me about 2 hours to do. The only thing I have to do now is bleed the brakes, but I'm waiting for someone to come to help me out with that. The reason I decided to go with the ABS is because I feel that non-ABS brakes are more predictable. There are less lines and less components, so if there's a leak it's going to be easier to find. You lose a little bit of weight. Last year when I was at the Honda Acura Mega Meet track day, it was raining, and there's a part on the course that kind of goes downhill a little bit and it's bumpy, so the ABS was really unpredictable in the rain. So hopefully now with this gone it'll be more predictable. I've owned cars in the past that didn't have ABS, and I like the way that those braked a lot better. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you like the video, thumbs up it. I'll always reply to the comments. But this was pretty easy process. All you needed some basic hand tools and flare wrenches. Valex racing kit fit perfectly. None of the lines are tight. It comes with all the fittings. It even came with the larger fitting for the stock Integra booster, and it came with the smaller one in case you're running the Civic Master cylinder. I don't know why you would do that though, but that's pretty much going to wrap this up. So until next time guys, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.